Why was it declared at 4 a.m.? Now let me answer your question.
You mean the election?
The election.
The election result.
On the 28th, Mahmoud Yakubu said he was adjourning till the next day. Next day, technically and legally speaking, it's 9 a.m. And by 4 a.m., he sneaked and declared Tinubu a winner. What transpired in between?
Well,
who came? Listen.
Welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been over 9 months since my last video, but it is never too late to expose the truth. The truth is not for everyone, and I totally respect that. I do not force my views upon anyone. This video is for educational purposes and the study of numerology.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
Orange day, sir. Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now, I am 100% certain that most Nigerians are familiar with the 16th president of Nigeria, aka the Jagaban himself. Honestly, since he became the president of Nigeria in 2023, there has been so much mystery and negativity surrounding his personal life to his winning of the 2023 presidential elections. And sad to say that, like most Nigerian elections for decades now, have been a complete and utter disaster and letdown. Every Nigerian knows that the election and voting process are a complete and utter scam. All of your presidents from inception have been selected, and most of your presidents since 1960 have been Western stooges or puppets. Tinubu was declared winner of the 2023 Nigerian presidential elections at 4 a.m. in the morning, when most Nigerians were asleep or preparing for work to escape the heavy Lagos traffic. At this point, they're not even trying to hide the fact that most Nigerians' elections are rigged. They already know their winner way before the scam of an election takes place. Tinubu himself had already said numerous times that he was going to win the elections. He never denied this fact. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this next slide. A former witch doctor known as Erica Mukisa from her YouTube channel Life is Spiritual exposes the election process in Africa and how Satan himself took her to hell, and explained the election process and how it is all a lie. Satan himself appoints your leaders, as he explained to Erica Mukisa. Kindly go and check out her YouTube channel Life is Spiritual. I will leave a link to her channel in the description box.
And has already told me he decides who goes into power and who steps out. This whole thing of voting and lining up is a scam. And I'm like, wow, the way couples fight because one is supporting this one and the other one is supporting the other one, only to find out that it is a scam. And then I'm now seeing the reality, how they infiltrate everything that humanity is using. Well,
a time when the average Nigerian should be enjoying their vast natural resources. Nigeria is blessed with minerals, crude oil, and human resources. However, the average Nigerian suffers immensely from bad government policies, limited access to adequate and a sustainable life. The story never seems to change, and once again proves that the government has never cared about the Nigerian people and the country, but their own selfish interests. The first thing the president could do upon winning the election was to remove fuel subsidy. What about the insecurity? What about the economy? What about the almost non-existent, deplorable healthcare system?
No matter how long you protest, we are going to remove subsidy. That is the truth. That is the truth. And I'm going to win this election.
These compromised leaders have become so bold and brazen with their barbaric savagery at the expense of the Nigerian people that they promise to serve and to protect. INEC, which stands for the Independent National Electoral Commission, is the electoral body which oversees the elections in Nigeria and was established in 1998. INEC has become nothing short of a joke and laughingstock in Nigeria and Africa at large. and has never held a credible and fair election from inception till date. What a shame. Most Nigerians are aware that for the right amount of payola, even the lowest of the low will be favored and more than likely go on to win the elections. Nigeria is really operating a dictatorship under the guise of a democracy.
This election is not free, fair, and credible. It's clear to all Nigerians that this election is already compromised, and therefore, if that is the wishes and aspirations of every Nigerian and is the general opinion, the best thing to do is for us to correct it and get it right.
CNN's Larry Madoa joins us live now in Lagos. So, Larry, the fact that you have the two sort of main opposition parties united in this way, calling for a do-over, saying that this election should be cancelled. You also have former President Obasanjo, who it's important to note, did support Labour Party candidate Peter Obi. But still, you've got former President Obasanjo coming out and saying that these elections have failed the integrity test and should be cancelled. What does that tell?
If you haven't already done so yet, I suggest you go back and watch my first 3 videos where I discuss extensively on Gematria and the true nature of your so-called celebrities and politicians, because most of them are not whom they appear to be in the public eye. A wise man once said, "Believe half of what you see and nothing of what you hear." I believe this principle can be applied to our so-called leaders and everyday life. Many of them have dark pasts and should never have come close to a leadership role, talk less of becoming a whole president. With a shady past like this one, it is no wonder the country is headed towards disaster, and just proves that most of our current leaders are puppets or stooges to be used and thrown away once they are of no use anymore. In all of the pictures I have seen of Tinubu within the last 10 years, this particular symbol on his cap seems to be one of his favorites. In Gematria, the number 8 signifies control, and within the occultic world, this symbol is known as the infinity symbol. According to the Oxford Dictionary, infinite means endless, unlimitlessness, or a state of repetition. They love to speak in code through the symbols on their clothing, shoes, and accessories. Even their hand signs or gestures are not left out. The big boys club of society, which many of your so-called leaders and celebrities belong to, you cannot become the leader or president of any nation without the elite sponsoring or backing that particular individual. If this is indeed true, based on the meaning of the infinity symbol, no wonder Nigeria seems to be in an infinite state of insecurity, darkness, and suffering. Nigerians, it is time to wake up to what is staring back so glaringly at us.
Yes, you understand what is going on around you. You can find yourself in a location that is in the midst of symbols that are screaming out who they represent.
Yes.
And yet you are not seeing it. You see, because that's the thing Jesus was complaining about. Because seeing they see not, and hearing they do not hear.
Yes.
And he was complaining, he was lamenting. It's not that it was saying a good thing. It's not a good thing, so let there be an end to that.
Yeah.
Amen.
Amen.
So, symbols, part 12C. Let's start with a symbol called the Leviathan cross.
Wow.
It's also known as the Satanic cross. It is a combination of the infinity symbol. You know that the number 8 is also the infinity symbol. It's a symbol for infinity because it keeps going and going and going. It's also similar to the circle.
Yeah.
It keeps going and going and going in a circle. It's a symbol of infinity. And so it's also known as the Satanic cross. It is a combination of the infinity symbol, which is the 8 that is lying down on its side here. And it's a combination of that.
Extensive detail as to how most of your top celebrities and politicians are not whom they appear to be in the public eye. Many of them are hosts or vessels of evil spirits, fallen angels, you name it. This could be the reason as to why so many of your so-called leaders do not have any form of empathy towards the plight of the average Nigerian. I've been able to piece some things together, and Tinubu's name has certain numbers in Gematria that match up with the demonic spirit known as Baal. Did you know that Baal was mentioned over 90 times in the Bible? I want you to pay close attention to the next slide, as YouTuber Conscious X speaks extensively on the demon called Baal and its affiliations to certain famous well-known characters on the world stage today. This is not to be taken lightly. Many of the things I speak about are being exposed all over the world. Life is indeed spiritual.
Right now, I pieced it together that this demon is named Baal, and this creature looks exactly like King Charles, and King Charles has a younger character called Baal. You know, it's all in plain sight. Baal is the first of the 72 spirits summoned by King Solomon and governs 66 to 250 legions of demonic spirits. He's a fallen angel turned demon and is described as a hoarsely voiced king with the power to make men invisible. So when I was Christian, I used to talk about how celebrities are fallen angels, and I'm not wrong about that, because you don't have to be Christian to understand the symbology in the Bible. You know, fallen angels are symbolic to the demons that celebrities are. The fallen is symbolic to how these are low vibrational beings. So this is why it's very important to understand that the Bible is based off analogies and metaphors and is not to be taken literal. So anyways,
Now, take a good look at the images on the screen. The three-headed demon, also known as Baal or Baal, has the face of a frog that looks eerily similar to Tinubu, especially the bulging eyes and wide mouth area. The human face of the demon undeniably resembles King Charles. In Isaiah 6, seraphim angels are described as having 6 wings. Ezekiel 10:14 also describes the seraphim angels as having a total of 4 faces. Their 4 faces are described as having the likeness of a man, lion, ox, or cherub and eagle. These types of beings exist in the spiritual realm and also have the ability to exist in human form and go unnoticed amongst the spiritually ignorant and naive humans of the world. Many people around the world are starting to wake up to this very unpopular fact, and it's time to see beyond this physical realm. King Charles and Tinubu both share the ciphers 242 in the Gematria calculator, which gives the numerical value of 8 when added together. Coincidence? I highlighted the number 8 visible on Tinubu's cap. 8 means control or a state of repetition within the occultic world. Amazing how these very popular characters are connected to the number 8 and Baal, and both are on seats of power at the same time. In the second image, I used Bola, which is Tinubu's first name, and was able to generate the ciphers 7, 24, and 180 in connection to Baal. If you understand the concept of gematria, then you must know that there are no coincidences when numbers are involved. All of Tinubu's names, when said together, sound eerily similar to the name Baal. King Charles and Tinubu are 2 separate heads of the same demonic spirit. To further buttress my point, King Charles became the king on 8th of September 2022, and Tinubu became the president of Nigeria 170 days after King Charles on May 29, 2023. 1 plus 7 is 8, and King Charles became the king on the 8th of September. Another 8. Coincidence? There are no coincidences in numerology and gematria.
When y'all find out who really running this world down here, y'all are going to crash out, because the people who are spiritually awoke, we know what's really going on. And when y'all find out that a lot of these people that's in these higher up positions are not even human, baby, y'all gonna crash out, because our world have been so programmed to believe that everything that we see with our eyes is the truth, but it's far from it.
Another well-known popular Nigerian character connected to Tinubu through Gematria is Aki, from the popular Nollywood duo Aki and Popo. They both share the ciphers 12, 203, and 215 in reverse primes. 215 when added together equals to 8. There goes that number 8 again, people. I noticed that any character connected to Tinubu more than likely will have an 8 in the ciphers one way or another. The picture on the left is Tinubu from the 60s or 70s era. Take a look at Aki. They look almost similar from their shape of nose, mouth area, and general overall facial features. I want you to take a good listen to the next slide, as popular TikToker describes what these people could be. Many people are waking up and starting to pay attention all over the world, but to Nigerians, everything are conspiracy theory. The veil of secrecy is definitely being lifted, whether you believe it or not.
They aren't clones, they aren't replicas, they're not reincarnated. And finally, after 2 years of researching and exploring and digging deep down into the rabbit holes, I figured out what they are. Because they tell us what they are, just in the movies. They're blood-sucking vampires. Blood-sucking vampires that can literally age reduce when they consume, or simply stay youthful when they consume. Stay very youthful. Very, very, very youthful. But like I said, they can also age reduce. You think that's plastic surgery? You see, I've spent the past 2 years exposing all of their fake deaths. And you want to know why they do it? Do you want to know why they do it? That's the question I get most. Why do they do it? Well, they tell us, like I said, in the movies. In modern vampire movies, they fake death to escape suspicion of not aging. It's common in vampire folklore.
Take a good look at the image on the screen and see for yourselves. Call it what you want, vampires, clones, hybrids, a lot has been hidden from us globally. Most of these people that hold seats of power are puppets that are being used by Satan to lead people, countries, and generations away from God. A spiritual war against God's children. The war never ended. They just got better at hiding and distracting us in plain sight. Tinubu and Obama both share the ciphers 36 and 27, which both equals to 9. 9 signifies completion, and this group of characters came to bring about a form of completion in relation to Satan's New World Order. They both share some subtle facial similarities. I mean, Tinubu could pass as a father of Obama. Even their names hold a lot of BA or bar intonations. For example, Barack Obama, Baal. Bola Ahmed, Baal. Did you hear it? Their agenda is to control as many people as possible to cause destruction and chaos. They are simply agents of darkness that the Bible warns us about. Now, I'm not going to speak much on this other character for obvious reasons, but the evidence is very clear to see if you have the eyes to see beyond your 3D lenses. The resemblance is very uncanny. Once again, this group of characters have a certain smile line and wide, rugged nose. In Gematria, they both share the ciphers 89, which adds up to an 8, and 282. Keep in mind, they are your politicians, religious leaders, celebrities. Wherever there's an influence or power, they are never too far away. Last but not least on this group of characters is former governor of Edo State, Adams Oshiomhole. You will think that was Tinubu on the left without glasses. They both share the same ciphers 149 in ordinal and reverse caps mixed. An interesting thing to note here is their birthdays. Oshiomhole was born on the 4th of April 1952. His birthday month plus the day he was born equals to the number 8. They were both born in the year 1952, which equals to another 8. Omo, you really cannot make this up. 8 plus 8 equals to 16. 16 also gives the numerical value of 7 when added together. 7 is the numerical value that connects Tinubu to the demonic spirit of Baal. They speak through numerology, symbols, and signs. If you understand numbers and symbology, then you can most definitely understand the matrix and cannot be deceived anymore. They will always reveal to us whom they really are. We are just too ignorant and refuse to read the signs. In one of the most deadliest attacks yet to hit Nigeria in recent times, at least 150 people were killed in the June 13th Benue State attacks. It took the so-called president over 6 days to respond to such a terrible massacre, whilst it took a whole pope from an entirely different continent to condemn the attacks before the president could even respond. Chai, who do a strong thing, oh, what a shame. Have you ever wondered why an attack that claims the lives of innocent people seems to happen with each successive government? The story never seems to change. It is not by mere chance, as most of these killings are staged and merely an opportunity for these soulless beasts to feed off of the blood and suffering of the innocent lives that are claimed. As can be seen from the screen, the Benue killings matches up in Gematria with the word sacrifice with 62. 6 plus 2 equals 8. A number that Tinubu seems to share a deep and strong connection with. Most of these attacks are planned sacrifices, disguised as unforeseen circumstances. To whom much is given, much is also expected. Once again, showing you whom they really are and their true agenda for Nigerians and humanity in plain sight. People of the world have woken up to the evil agenda of Bill Gates, that what fellowship does light have with darkness? Do not be deceived, they are the same, and one of their agendas is to depopulate the world and the ushering in of the beast system. With a population of over 230 million Nigerians and over 20 million diaspora Nigerians, there is no credible Nigerian to award? Omo, who do a strong thing?
As I was saying, George Soros, Bill Gates, and many more are pursuing a depopulation agenda, very inappropriate, poison in the food, fake medicine, endocrine disruptors, psych meds, and mass immigration. They want to turn your kids gay, retarded, or both. David Hogg, Harry Sisson, and that one fat chick are the prototypes. Very off-putting. I don't often say the word yuck.
You heard the President of the United States directly expose this man for what he truly is about. They are not even trying to hide or pretend anymore. They are straight up exposing themselves because they know that most people have become complacent and are too divided to unite and fight against them. Now it is very clear that Nigeria was never truly free and is still under their demonic control. These are the types of evil people that control your government, laws, and security. Why would an enemy of your country or people have any good intention towards you? Now it makes more sense why Nigeria can never seem to catch a break. This is not a physical battle, but a spiritual one. Nigerians, it is time to awaken from your spiritual slumber and pray for the true freedom of your nation. It is only going to get worse if a drastic change is not made.
When I said we're in a deep shit, you guys thought I was joking. When I said this man is in charge, thought I was joking. Nigeria never gained independence. Just watch this video.
A couple of years ago, I stumbled upon a document that stated that the Nigerian resources does not belong to Nigeria or the Nigerian people, whether it's discovered or undiscovered. And when I mentioned it on one of my lives, somebody said it was a conspiracy theory. Fast forward to now, you can now read this publicly. The former Secretary of State of the United States of America, Henry Kissinger, wrote a report in 1947 stating that the Nigerian resources should not benefit Nigeria or the Nigerian people. It should exclusively be reserved for rich nations, which is America and the rest. Now, I don't know why as a rich nation your resource that you need to be rich is coming from another country. Over the years, they've put systems in place like privatizing institutions that are supposed to be run by the government and buying it, which means they are now controlling it, and sabotaging especially the agricultural sector.
Whether you believe it or not, the end game towards all of this is complete totalitarian control over the minds and everyday lives of the people and the ushering in of the Antichrist and New World Order. The National Digital Identity Scheme is just the beginning of what the top 1% have planned globally. Keep in mind that the National ID is just the first phase of the test run to observe and clamp down on the people's negative reactions towards their evil plans. If you believe Nigeria or Africa is free from their digital ID agenda, think again. They have a lot planned for Nigeria. Number one is the restructuring of the country into smaller fragments because Nigeria as a country has served her purpose in the elite's eyes, and in order to gain further control, they are planning to break up the country for their own evil agendas. They fear the rising up of the Nigerian people, and they are trying to trigger the country into a civil war. Nigerians themselves are actually asking for this, but have been deceived once again. Nigerians need to pray for discernment concerning their country before it is too late.
We'll make a new free of charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID.
That's right. You won't be able to work in the United Kingdom unless you get one of these digital IDs. So while we're all still distracted and fighting amongst ourselves over the Charlie Kirk assassination and which direction the bullet came from, well, monsters like this are actually in the background changing the future of humanity. There is nothing bigger going on in the world right now than the digital IDs that are being rolled out globally. This is going to impact people's ability to work, people's ability to bank, people's ability to buy and sell, their ability to travel. You basically won't be able to exist in society or participate in any meaningful way if you don't get one of these digital IDs. Oh.
Now, this went viral all over social media a few weeks ago. President Trump threatened to send his troops to Nigerian soil to save Nigeria from a Christian genocide. I do not understand. It is common knowledge that there is a higher percentage of Muslims in northern Nigeria compared to Christians. So basically, is he trying to say that only Christian lives matter? What about the other people who have been unalive that are not Christians? President Trump claims himself to be a so-called practicing Christian, but seems to have forgotten the Bible verse, Matthew 27 verse 39, where Jesus Christ instructs us to love our neighbors as yourself. Selective outrage is not godly and is frowned upon by the very God that US President Trump claims to believe in. If you believe Trump is coming to save you, then I have the Lekki Ikoyi toll bridge to sell you. America invaded Nigeria a very long time ago, and most of your top Nigerian government officials have been bought and paid for by the US. It is a puppet government and does not serve the needs of its people, but the interests of imperialistic America and China. There is strong evidence to suggest that America has been funding Boko Haram. This information has been exposed a long time ago. It is you Nigerians that refuse to wake up and face reality. No one is coming to save you, Nigerians.
All right, Trump is saying we need to invade Nigeria to protect Christians, so let me explain what's actually going on here. If you look at this here map, you'll see that Nigeria is close to Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, and this is known as the Sahel region. And in this region, they recently had a string of revolutionary uprisings that overthrew Western-backed governments. And they've been kicking out US and French corporations and military personnel left and right. So Trump wants to use Nigeria to control these Sahel revolutionaries, or use it as a launching pad for regime change. It would allow them to spy on these countries, arm their preferred groups, sabotage their trade, etc. But it's stupid because Nigeria is already a US puppet government. But the government is so weak and the country is so poor from being pillaged by Western corporations that it's basically become a failed state. Now you have all these extremist groups like Boko Haram running around doing what extremist groups do. And Trump is using that as his excuse to invade Nigeria, even though US interventionism is what got Nigeria in this predicament in the first place. What Nigeria actually needs is a popular revolution like what happened in the other Sahel states. But of course we know the US will do whatever they can to prevent that from happening.
Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think
they have been waiting patiently like vultures now for decades for the downfall of Nigeria. Imagine this so-called chairman of the Austrian Committee for NATO making such emboldened threats against Nigeria. Is this statement not an act of war declared over another nation's soil? Nigerians have empowered these imperialistic political criminals to state and declare so much nonsense against their sovereign nation. Because the truth is that most Nigerians hate themselves, which then projects onto their country and their fellow citizens. By the time these imperialists are through with Nigeria, many Nigerians will be begging and praying for their former political oppressors to save them. That is how bad things will get if care is not taken. If you think these Western nations are going to allow you to take refuge in their countries after they have turned you into a refugee in your own sovereign nation, you better wake up and smell reality. I pray that will not be the case. May God help us all.
We don't lose wars. Sometimes we don't fight to win. We'll stay around the country for 15 years, just bomb the hell out of everybody, make everybody miserable. Nobody knows why we're there, the wars that never end.
Where is all of this cry and outrage for the ongoing crisis in the Congo, where the United Nations has reported that one child dies every 5 minutes? Where is all of this energy for Sudan, where it has been reported that a large amount of women and children face ongoing famine and extreme starvation? What about the ongoing genocide in the landlocked country that begins with the letter P? I will not mention the name of this country for obvious reasons and to avoid my channel from being shadow banned, but I am referring to the picture on the bottom right of the screen. Selective outrage is weaponized by these warmongering criminals when the countries that are truly crying out for help are left unignored because they have nothing beneficial to gain from these countries. Like play, Nigerians will find a way to turn every serious matter into a joke. Their way of trying to escape and evade facing the reality that plagues their lives and country every single day. Nigerians suffer from delusions of grandeur and cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? Cognitive dissonance is the mental stress or discomfort felt when holding conflicting beliefs, values, or attitudes, or when your actions contradict them. For example, in the case of Nigerians that go out to vote, knowing that their government are all crooks and thieves. The World Health Organization estimates that 20% of Nigerians, or around 40 million people, are affected by a mental illness. I personally believe the number is way higher than 40 million people. The most common mental illnesses include depression and anxiety disorders, substance abuse disorders, and personality disorders are common amongst the people. Just interact with and observe the average Nigerian. Many of these statistics are true. The Nigerian man and woman has been so mentally beaten down and depressed for decades by the government. They have also been plagued with religious and political psychosis. The spirit of delusion and confusion has taken over their minds to some extent. In 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 11 to 12 states, "For this reason, God will send them a strong delusion so that they should believe a lie." Does this not sound similar to what has plagued the minds of Nigerians? The only way out of this confusion is prayer. There is no other way.
There is no genocide in northern Nigeria. I think the complexity of the situation in northern Nigeria should, push us think twice before, declaring such or making such statements. The first victims of Boko Haram are Muslims, not Christians. The first victims, and I'm saying it with documented references. So the complexity in the northern part of Nigeria should not be taken, that easily. So what we are saying to those statements, with regard to those statements, is that the African continent is very complex.
If you truly think these extremist groups do not have financial backing and funding from those globalist nations, then you are in a deep sleep. All eyes on northern Nigeria right now, due to the large amounts of mineral resources such as sweet crude oil that they have found over there in the north, as quiet as it is kept. The map on the right of the screen gives a detailed breakdown of the different types of resources that the north possesses, as well as the south. Operation Save the Nigerian Christians is a falsified lie and a ploy for the United States government to take control of the natural resources in the north because China seems to have gotten there first. In more recent times, Nigeria has now begun to move away from the US dollar and has certain business deals with China, which allows Nigeria to begin trading in the Chinese currency, yen. Connect the dots. All nation plus currency changes equals pressure from the United States government. Is this really a war on extremist groups or a clampdown on the growing influence of China in Nigeria, especially in the north?
Two mountains. Mountains that in these mountains God has kept resources in it. There is a particular precious stone in those two mountains. Fulanis innocently who have been there from only God knows the generations, whenever they wishes to take it out of it, they pay money to some certain people to go and shoot them overnight. And then they will shoot some neighboring villages. The villages and the Fulanis will give way. Then people will go into the mountains to take these stones and they take it to the international market. And they are making money. Rhodium is in Kaduna State. As of this week, Monday, rhodium is $471,000 per kilogram. And what do they do with it? Rhodium is scarce on earth. We have it all over in northern Nigeria. We have it in some 6 southern states today. So if you see trouble in Kaduna, trouble in Benue, they are taking lithium and rhodium. But there must be a reason to give it a cover. It's too much.
Nigeria and China have just struck a trade deal cutting out the US dollar. The deal is a 2 trillion naira and a 15 billion UN currency swap, meaning that businesses can now pay in either naira or yuan between both countries' central banks instead of the US dollar. And the reason that this is so impactful is because the US dollar dominates over 80% of global trade, meaning that this deal is directly challenging US dollar's global dominance in world trade. Nigeria is just one of the many countries joining the de-dollarization trend, with countries such such as Russia, Brazil, and Saudi Arabia trying to de-dollarize. The deal only covers about 10% of Nigeria and China's trade so far. This deal alone does not end the US dollar's dominance. However, if more African countries follow suit, we could see the biggest global currency shift in decades.
No one is coming to save you. As we speak, the United States ranks top 5 in gun-related deaths across the world. The United States ranks number 1 in homeless populations, prison populations, divorce rates, and obesity. The United States is also responsible for spreading a culture of degeneracy across the entire globe. Do not let anyone deceive you. There's a reason why this is happening. It is time to turn back to our one true Creator, Jesus Christ. That is the only way. These two characters have no plans for you or your nation. It is time to stop taking these characters for face value and start observing and watching intently at the track record that they leave behind, especially when they are placed in places of leadership and power. Look at the state of Nigeria. A man that promised to change the status quo has once again fallen back on his lies and fallacies. The same goes for America. Even though they seem to be in a better position than Nigeria, America is now in dire distress due to the laws and policy changes of the current administration. It is time to ask for forgiveness as a nation. Only God can save us.
And sometimes if some people have named Tinubu, I say, yes, he's the president, but Tinubu told you that if he fights insecurity, that they will kill him.
And Aswaju called me. He says, Hajia, I said, sir. He said, I respect your stance on not accepting the appointment. I said, yes, sir, because I can't be a zombie. I just can't follow you because you said I should follow you. Let me know what you have for us up north. Because if I made a mistake on Buhari, with you, the truth is written on the horizon. So I have to know what you have for us. He said he's in London, that if I can, I should go over. He offered to buy me a ticket. I said, no, sir, I can afford a ticket. And then he said, can I get a hotel for you? I said, yes, that I will appreciate. I took the next Lufthansa to London. I saw him that same night, and we sat. And I said, sir, the reason why I'm not accepting your appointment is because I don't know what you have for us up north. Because in the north, every single person is either waiting to be killed or kidnapped. We can't go on like this. What is your blueprint for us? He told me
You can't go on like this.
that he doesn't have anything for us. I said, you mean, sir, you don't have a blueprint? He said, I can't have a blueprint because if I have a blueprint, I'll be stepping on too many toes and they might even kill me. This was what he said.
We have a confession that the media has not given appropriate attention. Kawu Baraje Alhaji was a leading chieftain of the APC, and he has confessed that they imported the foreign mercenaries who have become bandits. He has confessed. How much more evidence do you need? He has confessed that they imported them for the elections. This is public. Why is the media not following up? Why are we not asking for accountability? So it seems very clear to me and to so many others. If you're in the public space, you hear people talking and pointing fingers. The ruling party is the direct sponsor of terrorism and insecurity in Nigeria. My name is Martin Onobo. I said it. APC is the direct sponsor of insecurity and terrorism in Nigeria.
All of those people that were literally begging Trump to invade Nigeria and save them, how far now? The same people that are supposedly coming to save you have now closed their doors on you. A person or country that truly cares about your well-being will never impose travel bans on your nation. They would welcome you with arms wide open. Yet when you try to explain all of this to Nigerians, they're going to call you conspiracy theorist. Now, wow. If Trump truly wanted to help Nigeria, he would have sent adequate help. Trump gave refuge visas to the Africans, the Oyibo of South Africa, yet these group of people were not even experiencing any form of violence towards them in South Africa. If that is not clear enough to the average Nigerian begging to be helped, I don't know what more action will let them know that black Africans are expendable to them, and they simply do not care. Most Nigerians know the real reason as to why Trump threatened to invade Nigeria. Most of them have given up on themselves and see no way out. They would rather watch the country burn than to lift a finger. That is the saddening state that Nigerians have been driven to by their leaders and the issues plaguing their nation day in and day out, which is all by design.
This can't be real life. What the hell did I just watch?
I've also announced a permanent pause on third world migration, including from hellholes like Afghanistan, Haiti, Somalia, and many other countries.
Listen. Fuck you guys. But listen.
Why can't we have some people from Norway, Sweden, just a few? Let us have a few. From Denmark, do you mind sending us a few people? Send us some nice people, do you mind? But we always take people from Somalia, places that are a disaster, right? Filthy, dirty, disgusting, ridden with crime. The only thing they're good at is going after ships.
If you are making excuses or telling me that I'm taking that out of context, you are also fucking racist.
The US launched an airstrike against Islamic State militants in Nigeria on the 25th of December 2025. What type of self-acclaimed Christian president decides to bomb another country on Christmas Day, a day that is known to be celebrated by Christians from all over the world? Were there no Christians in Sokoto State that were affected by the US airstrikes? A true and honest government would have informed its people and stood against a declaration of war on its nation's soil. Did Trump even seek the approval of the US Congress before launching a military attack on Nigerian soil? He acts as if he is above the law, with no legalities to follow that will put him in his place. Who made him the president of the world? The sooner we realize we do not have an active government in Nigeria, the sooner we will eventually wake up from our deep slumber. They want to turn your country into Nigerian stan, and Nigerians are none the wiser because they believe everything the Western media tells them without critical thought or analysis. The religious, the educational, and the political sector has done a number on the minds and brains of the Nigerian people. Very few will ever escape the mental prison that they have been subjected to. Only God can save the country and the people.
6 reasons why we need to keep bombing Nigeria. So in May of 2023, Nigeria opens the $20 billion Dangote refinery, the largest oil refinery in Africa. Then in September of last year, Nigeria stops importing refined oil from us, the United States. The result, $3 billion in annual U.S. refined petroleum exports gone. Then starting around May 2024, Nigeria repeatedly votes at the UN in favor of Palestine's bid for full membership, fighting with the global south and breaking with U.S. and Israeli positions. Throughout 2024, Nigeria deepened economic cooperation with China, including multiple lithium and rare earth agreements with Chinese companies. China now controls critical mineral access in the world's 6th most populous nation, Africa's most populous nation. Also, throughout 2024, Nigeria expanded its currency swap agreement with China. Foreign trade began to increasingly be conducted in yuan and naira instead of US dollars. This part's crucial. When countries stop using US dollars, the US doesn't just lose trade revenue, it loses leverage. And then this year, starting in January of 2025, Nigeria is admitted to BRICS as a partner country, aligning economically with China, Russia, all the countries, building alternatives to US financial dominance. And then 2 months ago, in October of 2025, Russia and Nigeria signed and renewed nuclear project development agreements, giving Russia a foothold in Nigeria's energy infrastructure. And then, in that very month, completely unrelated of course, the story becomes about Christian genocide. The US designates Nigeria as a country of particular concern for religious freedom. Politicians like Ted Cruz are throwing around a made-up, arbitrary 50,000 deaths number. This is completely made up. And so 3 weeks after the Russia deal, Trump threatens Nigeria with military action. Then, of course, yesterday on December 25th, Trump decided to give Nigeria... Naturally, we bombed the Sokoto state in the northwestern region of Nigeria, a region that's 95% Muslim. But that's fine, because the Christian persecution that Trump is talking about, that's happening in the Middle Belt, which is only about 500 miles away. For reference, I'm currently sitting right outside of Philadelphia, and 500 miles from here would be Toronto, Canada. Listen, when you're liberating people, geography is not important. It's the thought that counts. Because on the same day we dropped those freedom bombs, 15 Nigerian Muslims were killed in a mosque bombing in northeastern Nigeria. Notice anything? It's like your landlord discovering lease violations the same week you tell them you're moving out. Or suddenly remembering your ex still has your old broken iPod the moment she starts dating someone new. Nigeria is Africa's largest economy. For decades, Western countries, France, Britain, America, have treated Africa like an ATM machine, Nigeria included. Resources out, profits back to Paris, London, the US. That's how it always worked. But something's changing. France got kicked out of Mali, then Burkina Faso, and then Niger. In August of 2024, America pulled its own bases out of Niger. Bases it claimed was there to monitor extremism, but in reality was only there to maintain a military presence in the resource-rich Sahel. China's offering infrastructure deals without any regime change strings attached. They joined BRICS. They opened their own refinery so they wouldn't depend on our oil anymore. Nigeria's trying to stand up after 500 years of exploitation. And that's the actual threat. Not ISIS, not Christian persecution. The threat is what happens when the world's most resource-rich continent stops asking Washington for permission. So we dust off the playbook. Find a humanitarian crisis, real or exaggerated, amp it up through friendly politicians, cable news, celebrities, and if they don't fall in line, the message is clear. You can have independence or you can have peace, but you can't have both. The mainstream media isn't asking these questions because the answers make America look like exactly what Nigeria says we are, not the world's protector, the world's extortionist.
This is all a massive psychological operation to further confuse and toy with the minds of the people. How does a sitting president from one of the most advanced countries in the world not have the correct intel on the location of the extremists? It just does not make any sense, which is what they want. The devil is full of trickery and deceptions, and so are his minions. Nigerians, you are the reason why this foolishness continues to happen. Your perpetual ignorance will be the cause of your country's demise if you refuse to wake up to the games that are being played before your very eyes. For more information on Trump and the role he plays on the world stage, kindly check out Conscious X's page on YouTube. He goes into extensive detail and you do not want to miss it. I will leave a link to his video and channel in the description box. Last but not least, there was no way I could conclude on this video without briefly discussing former Governor Wike of Rivers State, Nigeria. Throughout the duration of my research on Tinubu, I kept seeing and coming across Wike. Strange, right? Stay with me, don't get lost in the sauce. I found out that Wike is heavily connected in Gematria to one of the most heavily criticized dictators in history, whose name shall not be mentioned to avoid my channel from getting shadow banned. They both share the ciphers 30 in K the exception, SK the exception, and septenary. Finally, there's a particular way this group of characters like to shape in their beards. The picture of Wiki on the left doesn't really show it as clearly. I can see the facial similarities clearly. The only difference is that one character is Oyibo and the other is black. Remember, these entities can come in any race or religion, but they tend to share similar character traits, features, and so on. Other characters of Wike would be the former 2023 presidential candidate Peter Obi and his vice presidential candidate Yusuf Dati. This is how they continue to mock you and play games in your faces to further confuse you because they know that you cannot see beyond the physical realm. There is a spiritual blindness. Imagine the exact same characters contesting together against Tinubu. There is no denying the similarities in their facial features, from their eyes to their wide nose and ears. They also both share the cipher 90 in the Gematria calculator, and the 9 signifies completion. Interesting to note that they were also both born in July, and so many other similarities, until you realize that it is all a game, and the Matrix has its own game characters to keep you distracted and asleep. They will continue to knock your heads together like Squid Games. That is actually the reality of most Nigerians today. Squid Game should be a documentary, The Truth in Plain Sight. Wike and Obi seen together during the 2023 presidential elections. They have to show you without telling you what this is truly all about. The same characters in the Nigerian political theatre playing a game to their viewers and gullible followers. Wike and Obi both share the cipher 34 in septenary, and not only do they look alike, but they also share a deep connection to the current Nigerian president. To be frank, Obi never truly lost out in the elections. His group of characters have been running the scene within the Nigerian political hemisphere for a long time now, and I will expose all of his characters in this video. Another one of these group of characters would be the former president Olusegun Obasanjo. I remember reading this article almost 15 years ago. It went so viral in the Nigerian news space that Obasanjo himself had to come out to debunk the rumors. The honest truth is that this former king is Obasanjo himself. The resemblance is too obvious. Believe what you want, but these characters have been around for a very long time. They must tell you the truth one way or another without objectifying themselves. It is left for you to open your eyes and fix the pieces of the puzzles together. Life is indeed more spiritual than it is physical. Wike and Obasanjo both share the ciphers 42 in the Gematria calculator. Once again, peep the beards on these two characters. there's a certain way they love to sport their beards. It's all a game. Open your eyes. Goodwill Akpabio, the President of the Senate of Nigeria, would be the fourth character connected to former Governor Wike. They both share the cipher 17 in septenary. If not for a fact that there are different names on the screen, you will think it is the same person. There's no denying the resemblance. The sooner we realize that this is not real, the better off we will be. The fifth and last character connected to Wike is Ojukwu, a controversial military officer who led the eastern Nigerian region during the Nigerian Civil War. Just like his predecessors, this group of characters seem to be heavily involved with war and the military. Ojukwu shares the ciphers 28 and 25 with Wike. The use of Wike's second name was used here to generate a numerical value in the Gematria calculator. I have been able to find a total of 5 characters connected to Wike that are avidly playing an active role within the Tinubu-led government. There are other characters, but I have chosen to focus on the 5 characters that most Nigerians are familiar with. Now you can see how the same characters can play on the opposing side or the same side. Whether APC or PDP, the agenda is the same and has never changed. I say all of this to say that it is time for Nigeria to turn to the one true God and leave the deception, lies, and corruption behind. There is something special about the average Nigerian. You shine wherever you go, and you carry a grace like no other. You are the children of God, and it is time to embrace God and lay our dear country before Him before it is too late.
What would you say if I told you that there was a country that has arguably the world's oldest democracy with full participation of all of its members? What would you say if I told you that there is a country where a group of people has the oldest written constitution featuring guarantees for individual freedom and due process in the world? What would you say if I told you there was a country that featured full participation of women in its political system, both to vote and to govern? And they started doing this when Europe was in the Dark Ages, in the 800s. What would you say if I told you this very same country has the greatest number of doctors living in the United States of America per capita than any other nation in the world, making America better, building tech companies in the United States to help the people back home? Would anybody be able to guess that country was in Africa? Would anybody be able to guess that country is Nigeria? Because it is. That's not.
So, as we come to a close, the question still remains, what pill will you be taking? The red pill or the blue pill? The choice is entirely yours to make. I will leave you to listen to a prophetic prayer for Nigeria by Kim Clement. Thank you for watching my video. This is Gemini Matrix Naija, signing out.
I've seen something about Nigeria right now. Nigeria, you need to pray. Nigeria, pray, pray, pray. There is deep darkness that is wanting to emerge. A deep darkness that wants to come and control the children of light. There is a fear for corruption. Nigeria, pray. For the enemy is looking at you right now saying, what they decide will either allow me to do this great wickedness or stop me. I command your power to be broken right now. The power of what? The powers of darkness that would try and put fear into the masses. Nigeria! God has great plans for you.
Love.
men lie, numbers don't.